Hi, what are you doing here? Oh, that's right. You showed up because it's Saturday and you're looking for that walk in the Word. Well, I got up too late to beat the sun going down, so I can't go outside. And I thought, you know, the one thing about the walk in the Word that really really lights things up is unexpected distractions. And I thought, I don't know, how can I replace that? So I got a puzzle. It's the Sleepy Hollow General Store. I don't know if you can see that. The lights might be hitting it. Anyway, it should be pretty simple because the pieces, you know, it's only like 300 pieces. They're big pieces, but it could cause some distraction. I haven't done a puzzle since I was 16 years old, so I'm not sure I'm going to even enjoy doing this at all. Oh, that looks like it might make sense. Although, no, the puzzle is bigger than this picture, so. Anyway, and I got my coffee cup here, although I didn't make a cup. Not really ready for one, but I thought I'd let you see it because this, for me, is the perfect coffee cup. You know, I mean, the size of a cup I've found is can be a real problem because if you make a cup of coffee and you use two different sized cups, let's say you use 4 different sized cups, you're going to have 4 completely different cups of coffee, and only one of them is going to hit the mark. Well, for the little pot I use, you know, if you watch my video about how to make the perfect cup of coffee, I'm still making it that way. But it's a small pot that I'm using, and you can't put too much water because then when it starts to boil, you turn the fire down, you put some coffee in, that starts to foam. If you have too much water in the pot, the stove could turn into a war zone, you know, with unexpected skirmishes happening left and right. So, you know, I got the amount of water down with the pot, you know, the perfect deal, but I couldn't find the right size cup. And boy, when I found this one, it's like, oh yeah. You know, I get done the coffee, I pour the coffee, and it's like maybe a ½ inch, a little less ½ inch from the top. So that's enough for sugar, and half and half. And anyway, I'm rambling about my coffee. Why? Because I don't plan anything when we do these walk in the Word videos. And of course, today, this is not a walk in the Word. This is a sit in the Word. Check it out in the book of Devarim, Deuteronomy. You know, as you would have Ronomy do unto you, I always say. Deuteronomy, as you would have Ronomy. You ever know anybody named Ronomy? Me either. There's a guy named Ronald. Anyway, the proper name is Devarim, which means words. And it just happens to be the book that Yeshua quoted from more than any other scripture known to man at the time. Any other book. And you know, Devarim is what this video series was all based on. Abba commands us to think about His Word, to meditate on it, to talk about it, to teach our children, and to be talking about it when we rise up, when we lay down, when we're out walking, and when you're sitting. So, okay, I'm sitting. So today's Walk in the Word is a sit in the Word. And I forget which Walk in the Word it was. I'll put the number here on the screen so you can look it up. A while back, I sang a song I wrote for children called Bumblebee Thee. I sang it a cappella, and then after that I started talking about my producer, Mark Paladino. And what an amazing story, our relationship is. We've known each other our whole lives, and we're still very close friends. Anyway, Mark saw that Walk in the Word, and it's amazing because Mark and I really hooked up when I was around 15 years old, and when I was 16, I went out to visit him. He grew up here in New Jersey like I did. When I was 16, I went out to visit him in Los Angeles area. His parents were living in Alhambra. Went out to visit, and by then I had 60 original songs under my belt, and I quit school, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. To write songs, record songs, perform songs. And Mark, I'm going to have him explain this. This whole thing, since I sang Bumblebee Thee in that Walk in the Word, something exploded because, as I was saying, I went out to visit Mark. I was only 16. I thought I was 17. Now I'm thinking I might have been 16. Wow. And he took me into a recording studio. Neither one of us knew what we were doing, but he had this passion. I believe it was instilled in his heart by the Ruach HaKodesh, by Abba Father, because he just had this thing where he wanted to capture what I was doing. He saw this and heard the songs I was writing, and he told me one time that when I sang a song, he says, Alan, he says, you have presence. That was his word for it. How interesting, because now I teach. People say, what does Ruach mean in the Father's original language? And I say, well, that's His Spirit, We don't say Holy Spirit. Holy is a pagan word, so holy is replaced with Kodesh. Kodesh means dedicated, and dedicated to one thing only. And then Spirit, they've interpreted the Father's word Ruach into Spirit. But I've said this a number of times in my videos that it's a better interpretation, I believe, is presence. The Ruach is the Father's actual presence. And here, Mark says to me, you have presence. What he was saying was, he recognized the Father's presence when I sang. And I could be just in front of one person, or I could be on stage in front of hundreds or thousands of people. It wouldn't matter. When I started to perform a song, I would forget where I was. I would have no awareness, for the most part, of anyone in the room or anything like that. And the Father's presence would fall on me. The Ruach would fall on me, and something very special would happen. Never performed in nightclubs or anything like that. It was always, started off in living room, 10, 20, 30 people, everybody's sitting down and there's like, I was it. Or in a theater, same thing happens. People are in chairs, the house lights go out, stage lights come on. I was it. And that's an enormous amount of responsibility, an enormous amount of attention. And as a young boy, I think I found the easiest way around that was to just separate myself from it and go within myself. And that's the Kodesh part. I was being dedicated to the gift. This hat is getting too hot for the house. I gotta take it off. Okay. Might have messed my hair up a little bit. Started sweating. I didn't want to take my hat off. I love that hat so much. Any excuse to wear it. Oh, we're doing a walk in the Word. I always wear my hat, Well, not in the house. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so as a young boy, I just did this thing, man. It was me and Abba. I don't care where I was. I don't care who was in the room. And this thing would happen. And, Mark locked onto that. And he just decided to become a recorder of the... here's my refrigerator turning on. Welcome to my apartment. He just decided that he was going to document and record everything the Father was doing with me. And he did that for from the age of, when I was 16, he was 19, 3 years older than me. And we were at it every year. He would take me in the studio at least once a year. Whenever I had a new batch of songs, he would make sure it got recorded. Did that until I was, I think maybe I was around 24. Like 8 or 9 years, and boy, I'm telling you, that's a lot. So anyway, he saw me singing Bumblebee Thee. It took him back. I mentioned also in that Walk in the Word a song that Mark always brings up called Love and Fantasy. And he just keeps bringing it up all the time. So anyway, we got to talking about it, and I says, look, we've been talking about doing this for a long time. Let's just do it. He has tapes. He never lost all those tapes. But of course, he's been in the same building, recording studio. He's been in that place ever since, he's been there for like 50 years. So he's kept track of all these tapes. Well, that started the ball rolling. I think it's, I don't know, a month ago, maybe, since I did that Walk in the Word, and then we talked. At this point, he's pretty much sure he's found all the tapes that were in the warehouse. He says, Alan, honestly, I would look at a tape, I'd see some titles, and I would start to weep. He remembers the songs as well as I do. So anyway, he's digging them out. Some of the tapes are going to have to be baked. They put them in a convection oven, and it's a very low temperature. It's just kind of warm, but convection, the air moves through and it gets all the moisture out of them so that you can get them on a machine and play them once, twice, maybe 3 times. The good thing is that these tapes, they're so old, they were made with a much better quality type of magnetic tape, so that a lot of those might not even need to be baked. Anyway, he's going to take care of all of that. We got to see everything we have. Who knows? We could have 100 songs. We might have 10 or 20 songs. We'll find out. He's really excited about this. He says, Alan, people are going to love this because they will appreciate the kind of artist that you've always been. These kind of artists don't come around much anymore. you know, these days a lot of the artists can't even really play an instrument. They're doing computer things with their computers. If you put them on a stage, the song they recorded, they would never be able to pull it off. My thing is raw talent. So anyway, that's going on. I want to let you know about that, because then when that happens, you know, he's talking about all kinds of things, being the producer that he is. As far as I'm concerned, he deserves as much credit for everything that happens as I do, because it's not just me. If it wasn't for his passion, he wouldn't have dragged me in the studio and recorded all those sessions. I wouldn't have gone in because I didn't really care. I was just interested in getting on stages and performing live and sharing with Abba. But anyway, whatever we get done, I will provide to you as free MP3 downloads. I'm sure that these things are going to be used in some commercial ways too. Anyway, I'll keep you updated on that. It's just curious. Abba put us together in a way that was very rare to begin with. He had a heart for what Abba was doing with me pretty much as I did. And he did things as a producer. You know, I had no idea. I only worked with him for 8 or 9 years. After that, my career went on. I mean, I was in the music industry full time for 35 or 40 years. I never did anything else. Never had a job. Yeah, picked up a job here and there, maybe for some cash or to collect unemployment so I could go back out to California and that kind of thing. But, you know, that's all I ever did with my life. Somebody recently in one of the comments under the video said, "How did you go from music to the Bible?" And I answered him, I said, I didn't. Anyone would tell you that, you know, at 16 years old, I started spending more time out in California than here in Jersey. I was performing, recording, was all over the place. And anyone who knew me would tell you that there's no difference in talking with me today as it was when I was 16. My relationship with the Father and His Word was always absolute primary #1 focus of my life, regardless of anything else. I never did anything without talking with Him and considering Him in it. And that's why I never had a record deal. Oh, they were offered, and I turned them down. Anyway, if this gets done, I want Mark to tell his story. This may even be his project to do, because in a lot of ways it is his. But I'm excited about it, because to hear me singing and playing guitar at the age of 16, come on. And to see the kind of songs I wrote and what I was talking about in those songs, I know you'll appreciate that too. So that's going on, and you know, this is weird. I really wish I could go out and do the walk, because I've discovered that out walking around the neighborhood, there's so many distractions with the squirrels and birds and, you know, people driving by, waving hi, saying hello, and all these different things, that unexpected things that happen. It's very wonderful. It's very exciting. And now here I am. I'm just like in the apartment, and, you know, I can't even get distracted, because I got to get started on this before I can get distracted by it. At any rate, this is going to be a little different, my friends, because, you know, I'm not likely to be out walking around outside until the weather warms up a little bit, just because I don't care to go out there and freeze, you know. I'm hoping that we'll have a really nice snowstorm where I could go out daytime, maybe even nighttime, but to go out there with a nice slow snow coming down, if that happens, I'll run out there with the camera in a heartbeat. But until then, we might be doing these little personal things here I don't know about the word. I just mostly I've had this project with Mark Paladino on my mind. I'll probably be talking to him on the phone here shortly about it to see where he's at with the progress of that, and I'm excited about sharing it with you too. Oh, look, there's a letter on this one. It looks like the letter D. Well, that might be easy to find. Let's see, what's got the letter D? Sleepy Hollow General Store. There's no D there. I'll have to search the picture, but there's one to put on the side. My puzzle has begun. Speaking of puzzles, Abba's word is like a puzzle oftentimes. You can't start talking about one piece all by itself without matching it up with the other pieces that go around it that paint the bigger picture so that you understand what Abba's word is really talking about. I can't believe some of the comments, recently, I just did this one that Yeshua is not a created being. And boy, people who have spent a lot of years believing that Yeshua is a created being, they hear me say something contrary to what they've always believed, and they freak, they lose it. People have a hard time in letting go of preconceived notions. I got into that in the Walk in the Word, you can't own the things of Elohim. And that's why people, they freak out and they get upset. It's like, look, I already own that idea. I put it in my pocket. It's done. He was created by the Father because he's his son. Don't change. Oh, look, that's my truck. I don't know if you can see that. My truck is in this picture. 1954 Chevy pickup truck. And there's the front grill. I spotted that. Anyway, people, they want to own it, They want to own it. They don't want anybody to change anything. They want to own it. They don't want to have to deal with it. They just want to own it and forget about it. Oh, I got saved, in 1996. I'm done. I own it. It's in my pocket. Now I don't have to do anything about it ever again. Leave me alone. Don't talk about him. I put my first two pieces together. Well, how do you like that? I have no idea what that is. But this is how it should be. When you're learning about the Father and His Word. Anyway, I got saved. I'm done. I don't have to do any of that anymore. Shut up. Leave me alone. I don't want to be threatened. You're like, what if you're going to hell? What if you're really not saved? Shut up. They don't want to hear that. But then, there are those whom the Father is calling. And that's most of you, my friends. Who, you fall in love with His original language. You fall in love with words like Ruach HaKodesh because it means more. You can feel the difference of His presence because it's His language. There are most of you come running to this table on YouTube and this table on Vimeo that Abba Father Yahweh is providing for all of us through me as His instrument. There's a gas pump. I can see the numbers on the gas pump. And you embrace the truth. All you want is the truth. Give me the truth. I want to understand this the way the Father intended. Well, you're being called. That's the only reason you have that kind of a passion in your heart. There's the Sleepy Hollow General Store. That's why you don't get angry with me if I say something that previously you thought was the opposite. Because you don't want to own it. You want to embrace Elohim's truth. And those are the people He has sent me here to gather. And the gathering is not long before it's completed. We are in the last moment. Been talking about that too. Anyway, I don't know, this is a new way of spending time with you. Forgive me if it's not as satisfying or something. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I have to learn to relax into this format and make it happen. And I thought that this distraction might help Abba speak through me, because when I don't plan any words, that's when He speaks. Some Messianic Jew, something or other, YouTube person tried to correct me because I spelled Yeshua Y-U-H, Yah. S-H-U-A, Shua. You gotta get the Father in there. It has to say Yah, not Yah. Y-A-H, and it's like, this drives me crazy. Oh, here's another one who thinks that the Father's word is written in English. Oh, if you spell it Y-U-H, you're going to hell. Anyway, I just like, shut up, get out of here. I blocked him. People, I have no more patience, my friends. No more patience for stupidity like that. The person, has never spent any time to look at my videos to see what I'm about, has no idea of my love and my sincerity for Elohim, and just comes on to one of my videos for the first time and starts correcting me like, here we go with the Laodiceans again, holier than thou, the spirit that Yeshua hates, lording it over others. This person thinks they have something that no one else has. They think they own something. My point is, my patience used to be pretty short. Now it's about like this. I have no more time for tomfoolery, idiocy, stupidity, or ignorance, meaning those who ignore. They just come onto a video and they start talking like they're in charge, and like they already know what you're all about, and please, go away. I don't have time for that kind of stuff anymore. I only want to see those who have a passion for Elohim and Elohim's truth. Anyway, I guess we'll call this a walk in the Word. I've rambled on enough. I got some work to do. Putting next week's news together with Donald Trump and what he did. Very cool act, Donald. Anyway, let's call that a sit down in the Word, my friends. Abba willing, I'll see you here next week. Until then, you know the routine. Keep your wicks trimmed. Keep your lamps burning bright. Shalom.